Hello, holy people of God of our Wausau parishes, and welcome to this week's Quick Things. Back in the office after some out of office program or out of office Quick Things videos last week, including for Eastside parishes dodging traffic in front of Resurrection Church as the scaffolding was being constructed for the restoration work there, and that continues. The scaffolding is all in place, a very impressive structure in its own right, as it serves to help workers restore, reinforce our much more magnificent and impressive structure for many years to come as that restoration project continues. I'm not going to go through the whole Lenten schedule. I want the thumbnail said Father Tom at the movies, and so there's been a lot of talk about movies of late. I want to recommend some really fine movies, including one, the link to which you can find in the Quick Things email, some Academy Award highlights, and my favorite movies of all time, including some important Catholic movie news. I'm not going to go through the full Lenten plan. It's in the Quick Things email. We've talked about it at Masses, but please do be attentive to that and engage in opportunities for worship, etc. A reminder that the soup lunch for Lent at Resurrection is from 11 to 1 on Wednesday. This week is chicken vegetable soup, so that promises to be good and healthy if you're seeing this email in time to join us for that. Also, as we kind of move now into the second half of Lent, to be diligent in our almsgiving or considering what our pledge is going to be, if we're going to contribute online, for example, for Catholic Relief Services. Included in the email is a reprise of a conversation I had a year ago with Nicole Cast, who's originally from Wausau, attended Newman High School, and works with Catholic Relief Services. In the video, in the conversation from last year, she was in Guatemala. I think she has moved to a new assignment, but I'm not sure what that is, and I haven't been able to communicate in a timely manner with her. But what she shares with us from Guatemala still helps us get a better, puts a human touch on what Catholic Relief Services does in countries such as Guatemala and in some 100 other countries around the world. So give some attention to that, and that might help you in terms of determining your pledge for Operation Rice Bowl at Catholic Relief Services. There are two more fish fries for parishioners at St. Anne's, two more opportunities to help and make that a successful venture. For others, an opportunity to come and have a good meal. Fried or baked fish, shrimp as well, from 4 to 7 on two more Fridays, the last two Fridays of Lent. Also, as we near kind of now beyond the halfway point of Lent, we're getting closer to Triduum and Palm Sunday. So please give attention to the Triduum, Palm Sunday, and Triduum schedule, which is in the email and which I will talk about more next week. This Sunday, we will have an opportunity to provide input for the Synod on the Church, which will be continuing in Rome this fall. They met in October of 2023. Now they'll gather again this coming October, but they've asked for some further consultation of the people of God. And so we will gather at 1 p.m. on Sunday in the gathering space at St. Anne's. Everyone is invited. The questions for consultation, and I mean, it's not limited to those questions, but the questions that have been given to us are outlined in the Quick Things email. They're also in last Sunday's. They're also in last Sunday's bulletin. So give some consideration to that, and hope you might join us for that Synod consultation at 1 p.m. on Sunday, this coming Sunday at St. Anne's. Also in the email is a link to register for, I think what promises to be a good video, an informative, faith-filled presentation by Robert Ellsberg. He is the guy who writes the daily Blessed Among Us feature in Give Us This Day, this great resource that comes from the Liturgical Press. And every day features a holy person, not necessarily canonized or recognized in any official way, but people whose lives have been a demonstration of faithfulness and steadfastness. And so Robert is going to be reviewing Saints of Lent and Easter time, and that will be at 1 o'clock on Friday, and you can register to be part of that conversation live, or you could, in registering, they'll also send you a link to the conversation if you're not able to be a part of it. So just something to kind of, if you're free at 1 o'clock on Friday, or want to be part of that conversation later, send in the registration. They will make sure you get a link to that. So I think that takes care of our news reminders. So movies have been in the kind of the realm of conversation for the last week or so with the Academy Awards this past Sunday. I love going to movies. I just don't get to them very often because going to movies at night doesn't work because we have parish obligations. Going to movies on like my day off doesn't work. This last Sunday, there was a movie I wanted to see, but you remember what the weather was like on Sunday? It was a beautiful day. I didn't really feel like going to sit in a dark movie theater for all the afternoon. I'll be honest with you as well, kind of a confession of sorts. There were 2 movies that I've wanted to see from this past year, and would have loved to have seen them in the theater, except Oppenheimer was 3 hours long, and Killers of the Flower Moon was 2.5 hours long. And my bladder will not allow me to sit through a 3-hour movie. And I'm not going to pay $10 or whatever, $12 to go to a movie and miss miss part of it when I have to go to the bathroom. So that's one of the issues. More of the issue is just getting there and having the time to do it and when it matches up with a movie I want to see. But I love going to movies and have had a chance to see a few of the movies that were nominated for Academy Awards this year. I did see Oppenheimer. Well, I also discovered that I could rent it on YouTube for $5.99 instead of paying $12 in the movie theater, which allowed me to pause it whenever I wanted. And it won the award for Best Picture, and it certainly was an excellent movie. And what telling the story of such a dramatic, life-altering moment in the life of our world, of our planet, Oppenheimer's work in creating nuclear weapons. How do we diminish the impact of that, and how it continues to haunt humanity, what he did, and the awareness that he had that it would. I also saw Barbie on the other extremes. Remember, they came out at the same time. I did see Barbie in the theater last summer on a rainy Sunday afternoon, and it's a delightful movie. How people take toys and make them into movies is kind of fascinating. So I would recommend Barbie. It's not a serious movie. It's a fun movie. It's a lighthearted movie. I also saw The Holdovers, which I would recommend. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend trying to watch it next Christmas time. It's kind of a Christmas movie. It takes place at Christmas time. And a wonderful movie. Paul Giamatti is excellent in the movie The Holdovers. Now, some of the movies that were nominated that I didn't see but would like to see, one is Zone of Interest. So it's about a German commandant at Auschwitz. He and his family live right outside of the concentration camp, and their attempt to try to live a normal life right in the shadow of that horror. So that would be one movie I'd like to see, Zone of Interest. The other is Killers of the Flower Moon. I will see that. So that is about this just tragic assault, really, on the Osage people in Oklahoma, where one by one they're being killed as people try to confiscate the rights to property where oil has been found. Just everyone I've talked to who's seen it just speaks of what a dramatic, powerful, emotional movie it is. So Killers of the Flower Moon. I'd like to see Maestro with Bradley Cooper about Leonard Bernstein. And I'm told American Fiction is a good movie as well. It's a comedy, but with some deep bearing as well. So those are movies I would like to see. 2 other Academy Award nominated or winning, two movies that won Academy Awards that I really want to encourage you to watch. One is 20 Days in Mariupol, which won the Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature Film. It was part of the Frontline series on public television. And so I've included in the Quick Things email a link to the preview of 20 Days in Mariupol. Also, you can watch the movie, the documentary, at 10 o'clock on Friday. Not a great time, but if you can record it, 10 o'clock on Friday on PBS Wisconsin, whatever channel. It's on 20 on antenna TV in our area, but you might on your dish or cable, it might be a different channel. But PBS Wisconsin, 20 Days in Mariupol will be aired at 10 o'clock on Friday. The director who spoke in receiving the Academy Award, what he said was, "This is an award I wish I was not receiving." What he was saying is he wished he never could have made a movie about the Russians taking over Mariupol and seizing the city in the 20 days that were so traumatic for that city. Basically, he's saying, I wish there weren't a war. I wish Russia had invaded my country. And so, there we are. But it did win the Academy Award. And I have not seen it, but I will be watching, maybe not at 10 o'clock on Friday, but sometime soon. Also, the movie I want to recommend, because I have seen it, is the movie that won the Academy Award for Best Documentary Short Film. And it's only 30 minutes long, and it's excellent. 30 minutes that just fly by. It's produced by the Los Angeles Times. And so I like the idea of a newspaper being a old newspaper guy, that a newspaper recognizing the need to communicate in new and diverse ways, helped to create this wonderful documentary about a repair shop of musical instruments that is run by the school system, the public school system of Los Angeles. And they repair musical instruments for children in the schools to receive and to use in bands and orchestras of the Los Angeles school system. And so they profile, I think there's two different repair shop workers. And then they also do some little vignettes with some of the kids who benefited from these musical instruments. And several of them might make you cry. A couple will make you smile. There's one boy who so desperately wanted a tuba. And I played the tuba when I was in school. He so desperately wanted a tuba, and he would plead with his mother that he wanted a tuba. And finally, she told him, well, you have a choice. It's either a tuba or you. They couldn't afford both of them. But through this last repair shop, he was able to get a tuba and play the tuba. And you have to watch all through the end. You have to watch the entire thing through the credits. There's a performance that's going on while the credits are rolling, and then there's just a neat little thing at the end, and you just have to keep watching until the end. And the link to the last repair shop is in the video. So please take some time, spend 30 minutes. And you can watch it as a family. It's a wonderful movie. We say documentary, don't be put off by that. It's a wonderful several stories that are told in the story of Last Repair Shop. There's also some Catholic news in terms of the movies. The movie Cabrini has, I don't know when it premiered, a couple weeks ago, so it's been in theaters now for a couple weeks. It's been playing at the Marcus Cedar Creek Theater. It's the story of Mother Frances Xavier Cabrini, who lived in the 1850s to 1917, I think is the year she died. She joined a religious order and really wanted to take the gospel, to go and preach the gospel in China. Part of the Xavier in her name comes from St. Francis Xavier, the Jesuit who went to Asia to spread the gospel. And she kind of wanted to continue that. And so she went to meet with the Pope at the time. And he said, well, no, she was Italian. She was born in Italy. We really need you more in the United States, where there were so many Italians migrating to the United States. And he said, we really need you in the United States. So with some chagrin, she ended up in New York. She came to New York in 1889. And what I'm told the movie depicts very powerfully is the desperate straits of the Italian immigrants who came to New York and other parts of the United States at that time, in that migration, because they weren't wanted here. People did not want Italians messing up their neighborhoods, and including the Archbishop of New York, Irish. He had no time for Italians, and a lot of that is shown. The less than stellar portrayal of the church, I'm told, is very honestly seen in this movie. But also her determination, her courage, as she pushed against all these various forces and defended and promoted and served her fellow Italian immigrants. So Cabrini is showing. I think, maybe we don't think we should go to a movie during Lent because we're sacrificing or fasting or whatever. You don't have to have popcorn if you go. It'd save a lot of money to put in your rice bowl if you don't have popcorn at the movie theater. But I think it would be a good Lenten opportunity to see Cabrini, and to contribute to. Also, seeing it helps to support Angel Studios, which is the producer of The Chosen, which I talked about in my homily this past weekend. I said that one of my goals in the homily, I said that one of my goals for Lent is to watch the 3 seasons of The Chosen that are for free online. The link you can find is in the email to get started with The Chosen. They're also apparently having some financial problems or struggles getting the remaining seasons. So there's supposed to be 7 seasons of The Chosen. They've done 4. The 4th season is showing in theaters. So Angel Studios, if we go to see Cabrini, we're helping them financially a bit. Maybe a little contribution to helping complete The Chosen. I don't know all the background of what's going on with their company financially. I don't think there's any reason to fear the conclusion of the story won't become a program for us to watch. I think we probably know how the story does turn out, but those of us who watch The Chosen are fascinated to find out how they portray the conclusion of the story, which is really the beginning of the Christian story with Jesus dying and rising. So Frances Xavier Cabrini was the first American, she was the first U.S. citizen to be canonized as a saint, to become a saint in 1946. But she was not the first native-born American to be canonized. She would be the first U.S. citizen to be canonized ever in 1946, but Elizabeth Ann Seton was actually born in what would become the United States. She was born in 1775, so almost right before we became a state. She wasn't canonized, though, until 1970. She was born in 1774, 2 years before the Declaration of Independence. She was canonized in 1975. So the distinction there is Frances Cabrini came from Italy and became a U.S. citizen and was canonized. Elizabeth Ann Seton was born here and was canonized. Okay, I couldn't have made that more complicated. Also, a couple, just in terms of Cabrini, it's gotten great reviews, and from people who are sometimes suspicious of religious movies because of kind of a heavy-handed message they're suggesting, and I would agree with some, in some instances that's true. They can also be kind of saccharine-y, a little too sugary or whatever, too pious, and not maybe seeming true to life. But Cabrini is getting rave reviews from secular and religious sources. Rotten Tomato, which is an online review thing, they're giving it 91%. So like out of 100, 91% is a very strong rating for Rotten Tomatoes. And Father Bill Grivach, who many of us know, he saw the movie this past weekend and he gives it 5 stars or 2 thumbs up. He said, take your pick. He thought it was a great movie and recommends it for everyone. So again, I would love to go see Cabrini. We'll see when that happens. Maybe I'll see it I hope to see it while it's still in the theater. Just not sure when that would be. In any case, before we go, I want to share my favorite movies. USA Today, before the Academy Awards, did a ranking of the 97 Academy Award winning movies. And in order, like as they they deemed it worst to best. And The Godfather, was their first #1 movie. I'm just going to share I think there's 10, my 10 favorite movies. And you know what? I did this list a long time ago. There aren't a lot of recent movies, which I should think a little more clearly to update my list. I've had this list kind of in a drawer for a while. But Heaven Can Wait, which is an odd movie to have on a best movie list, but it's a movie probably from the 80s with Warren Beatty, Diane Cannon, James Mason from the old school of Hollywood, and Buck Henry. And it's not a deep movie or anything. It's just kind of a delightful movie about a football player, professional football player, Warren Beatty, who is killed in a bike accident. And I don't remember the scenario of why this happens, but his being is put into another person's body. His body, it becomes the vessel for another person who has died. It's all that's again more complicated than it needs to be, but it's really a nice movie. Dan Cannon and Buck Henry are very funny. Heaven Can Wait. Rear Window, the classic Alfred Hitchcock movie with Grace Kelly and Jimmy Stewart. Jaws, how can you dispute that? Annie Hall, probably my favorite Woody Allen movie. Diane Keaton is really good in that movie. The Sound of Music, a classic with Julie Andrews and all the kids. I like Godfather Part 1 and 2. I'd be hard-pressed to pick which one I like better. You can't really do one without the other, is what I'd say. All the President's Men, that's kind of my go-to political movie. I was, in high school during the Nixon administration. This movie came out while I was, I think, a senior in high school. And really, kind of it's the reporter's go-to movie as well. So All the President's Men and Academy Award-winning performances. So great performances with Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford. The Sting, another Robert Redford movie with Paul Newman, just a really cleverly told story. And rounding out my list, Casablanca, again, a classic, great theme song, Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman. So a great movie. And those are my favorite movies just because I wanted. Why do you care? I don't know. But people are always sharing these kinds of movies at this time of year, or these kinds of lists. So I thought I would do the same. Finally, The Last Repair Shop. Please give it some attention. Maybe check out the Robert Ellsberg Saints of Lent and Easter program. All the things we have going on in our parishes, and also 20 Days of Mariupol coming up on Friday on PBS Wisconsin and Cabrini at a theater near you. Let's conclude with this Lenten prayer, inspired by last Sunday's gospel. O God, rich in mercy, you so loved the world that when you were dead in our sin, you sent your only Son for our deliverance. Lifted up from the earth, he is light and life. Exalted upon the cross, he is truth and salvation. Raise us up with Christ and make us rich in good works, that we may walk as children of light toward the paschal feast of heaven. We pray through Christ our Lord. Amen.